Here we have a typical function style question. I do think the second part B of the question is particularly vicious. Question part A should be okay, provided you realise to read functions backwards. So the first thing we've got to do with the 2 is put it into G. I'll just tell the examiner that's what I'm doing. The G of 2 is, put it into this one, 4x minus 1, so we'll do 4 lots of x, x being 2, minus 1, pop it in the calculator, 4 times 2 minus 1, 7. I've got the G of 2, I've done that bit. Now I need to get that answer and throw it into F. So again, I'll tell the examiner what I'm doing. F of 7 is. Now I'll take that 7 and I'll throw it into x cubed. 7 cubed, 343. For full marks for that question, quite a nice easy one. H of x is f g x. Find an expression for h to the minus 1 of x. Very fiddly question. So first of all, we'll deal with this information. F g x. Reading it backwards, the first thing I've got to write down is g of x, which up here was 4x minus 1. It is customary and good exam technique to put that in brackets. That I always like to think of as the new x. Now we're going to get that answer and throw it into F. F of x is x cubed, so we've got the new x, which is 4x minus 1 in brackets, and we're just going to write a little 3 by the side of it. That's what h of x is. Now the examiner says find h to the minus 1 of x. That's the inverse function. I wouldn't write this on my exam paper, but my thought process is, am I able to do this question? And the answer to that question is yes, I'm able to do it. Because the first thing I'm going to do is write y equals the y bit. Y equals 4x minus 1 cubed. Only ever with these functions, these style questions, would you exchange. So y equals, then exchange. We're going to exchange the y's for the x's. So that tells me I've got x is, open brackets, 4y minus 1 cubed. And the last thing is I'll have a little switch around. I'll try and get y on its own. I always like to think to myself, if I was putting in a number, what would be the last thing I did with it? Well, I'd cube it. So we'll get rid of the cube first. Opposite of cubing, cube root. So the cubed root of x is 4y minus 1. Then, if I was putting in a number over here, let's say I was putting in the number 5, I'd do 4 times 5, then minus 1. So the last thing I did was minus the 1, so I'll move the minus 1 next. Cube root of x, a minus 1 becoming a plus 1, equals 4 lots of y. And the last thing to move, of course, is the 4. Was timesing the y, so as we move it, it's going to divide. So on the dotted line, we can write the cube root of x plus 1, all divided by, so make sure the divider line goes all the way across, 4.